If at first you don't succeed, try again. Who hasn't heard this quote before? From an early age, this proverb is ingrained in our minds, telling us that when we fail, we should continue pursuing the goal at hand until we finally triumph in the end. But who do you think made this quote? William Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Ernest Hemingway? Well, the quote was actually made by British educational writer William Edward Hickson. Not to offend Mr. Hickson or anything, but personally, I call BS on this quote. If someone is not good at something, there is no reason to keep trying again aimlessly. I mean, we've all heard before that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. To my point, even Mr. Hickson, the man who popularized the phrase itself, gave up at his job as a shoe manufacturer in order to become the famous educational writer that he is known for today. I would argue giving up, not trying again, could actually be the key to success. Although, let me be clear, this doesn't mean you should always give up. Now, I wouldn't have come to this conclusion if it weren't for my own personal journey. You see, since the age of 4, sports have been my passion. I dreamed of one day making it to either the NBA or NFL. As I started getting older, it was clear that basketball was the sport I was best at. I had all the physical traits. I was tall and strong for my age, but most importantly, I saw Larry Bird highlights, so I knew I had a chance. Now, this isn't to say that I was bad at football, but every time that I would tackle someone, I would apologize. So, basketball became my life. By the time I was at middle school at Donna Klein Jewish Academy, it looked like my dreams were becoming a reality. I was the lead scorer of the team, and I even became a starter on the high school squad as an 8th grader. But then I transitioned to Pinecrest for high school. I remember my first day vividly, walking in with a new pair of LeBrons. From day one, I was determined to prove that I was the best basketball player that the team has had since Brandon Knight. Until the day of tryouts, all I did was hype up my game, including telling Scottie Pippen Jr., a now 4-star commit to Vanderbilt, that I could take him on one-on-one any day of the week. For comparison, I will be attending a Division III school in the fall, and trust me when I say I am nowhere near good enough to make the roster. Anyways, tryout day for the Pinecrest basketball team finally arrives. I take one look around and think to myself, psh, easy. The next day, I received an email congratulating me on making the varsity team. I did it. After showing my parents the varsity letter, my dad came over and broke the news. Son, that says junior varsity. I was crushed. But then I thought, so what? I'll be the star of the JV team for one season, and then coach will have no choice but to put me on varsity. Nope. Guess who has 2 thumbs and became the last man off the bench? This guy. Although I'm not going to lie, I played left bench better than anyone I knew. When tryout sophomore year arrived, I convinced myself that freshman year, it was a fluke. Unfortunately, this time around, when I took to the courts, my worst fears came true. The competition only got better. Long story short, I was put on the JV team again, but I actually got to play a different position from the year before. Oh yes, the all-important right bench. I knew right then that I wouldn't be able to make varsity. Up to that point, my entire life was centered around playing basketball. And with that gone, who even was I? I looked in the mirror that night, and you know what I saw? A slow white Jewish kid from New York. How could I have been so blind all of these years? I was done playing competitive basketball. So now what? With giving up on playing basketball and all, what was there for me to do? Well, when word got out to my uncle that I was no longer playing sports, he asked me if maybe I wanted to start writing about them instead. He proposed that I apply for a job as a sports journalist for a media company called 12 Up. While I had never really heard of the company, I thought that I might as well apply since I literally had nothing else to do. Plus, it's not like I stopped loving sports just because I couldn't play them anymore. Like I said earlier, I have always been enamored by sports. Since I was able to talk, I had always had a love for debating anything NBA and NFL. I just never really thought anything of it. Truly, when I wasn't out playing basketball, the only other place you'd find me is at a table, surrounded by friends and family, giving my latest takes on the sporting news and updates. So, I sent in my application, and what do you know? 12 Up offered me a writing gig. Immediately, I found my new passion. My first published article hit a couple hundred views. I couldn't believe it. I was famous. No longer did I have to limit myself to just select friends and family. I now had hundreds of followers reading my opinions. But this would be just the beginning. Soon enough, my articles were receiving views in the low thousands. At this point, I was writing solely about the Miami Dolphins and Miami Heat. But because my articles were a success within the scope of the two fan bases, the editors at 12 Up asked me if I wanted to write about broader topics like the NBA and NFL. I gladly accepted. Boom, just like that, my 12 Up account exploded. I would refresh my page every second of every day just to see if I received one more view. 1,000 views, refresh. 50,000 views, refresh. 400,000 views, refresh. 2 million views. As my view count kept increasing, I was slowly surpassing established writers who had been a part of the company for years. Although, it wasn't until I saw this comment on one of my articles that I realized that I was truly becoming a success. When I received this comment, I was ecstatic. Everyone knows that the more successful you are, the more haters you have, and I finally had a hater. Flash forward to today, and I have amassed over 491 articles and 10 million views. I have one of the highest view counts in 12 Up history, despite being a little less than half the age of most of my peers. Looking back on it, giving up on playing basketball was one of the best decisions of my life. I would have never found my current passion of sports journalism had my original love of playing basketball been cut short in high school. Transitioning from something that used to define me to becoming even more successful in a passion I never even knew I wanted to be in taught me that failing at something doesn't mean the end of one's goals. Rather, it allows one to explore other possibilities and perhaps be even better in a new field. And it's not just myself. Did you know that Jeff Bezos quit numerous jobs on Wall Street in order to start Amazon? Or did you know that Terry Crews gave up on his dream of playing in the NFL after 4 seasons in order to become an internationally known actor? Even the great Walt Disney gave up on writing newspapers before founding the company we all know and love today. Of course, Disney originally got fired from one newspaper company for, get this, not being creative enough. To make my argument from a statistical point of view, there's a reason why almost a third of undergraduates change their major at least once before graduating, according to the National Center of Education Statistics. To me, failing shouldn't be frowned upon just because of all the benefits that come with it. For starters, if you keep trying to be successful at something you're not good at, the only possible result is not reaching your full potential. By quitting, you give yourself the opportunity to explore other ways of achieving greatness. Furthermore, quitting allows one to have more fun in life. If I made the varsity team, I would never have played, and chances are, I wouldn't have been happy. By quitting, I was able to find happiness in something that I look forward to every single week. If you're even thinking about quitting, you are currently participating in, more likely than not, you do not love what you're doing. With all these benefits, you're probably wondering, why don't people just quit all the time? Well, quitting isn't exactly a virtue. There's a negative stigma that comes along with it, and people generally don't want to be associated with being a quitter. Other people don't quit because of the fear of the unknown. It's scary having to stop doing something and start from square one again. And some don't have the courage to admit when enough is enough. These negative connotations to quitting are valid. If you have given something your all and you are neither happy nor successful when it's all said and done, then you have a total right to quit in my mind. But you can't just quit when the going gets tough. That's when the damaging stereotypes about quitting hold true. After my first 100 articles, my viewership started to decrease. Clicks on articles are what drive sports websites, so I was seriously concerned that my writing was taking a turn for the worse. But I didn't just quit because I hit a rough patch. No. I searched for ways to improve. I looked back on why some of my articles were doing better than others, and I figured out that the key was in the title. I noticed that the more eye-popping words I had in the headline, the higher the view count. So instead of writing 5 NFL players who deserve to make the Pro Bowl, my title would sound more along the lines of 5 NFL superstars who absolutely need to make the Pro Bowl. It sounds a lot like clickbait, I know, but hey, it worked. If I had exhausted every, and I mean every option, and still my viewership was going down, then maybe quitting would have been acceptable in that instance. But not until that moment would giving up had been an option for me. That fine line of knowing when to quit and start fresh is something you have to establish for yourself. And when you do, it's important to admit when you cross that threshold. At the end of the day, for those people who are lucky enough to stick with one thing their entire life and be successful at it, good for you guys. But for the rest of us out there, don't be afraid to give up and quit. The results of that decision may just be what leads to your success. On a closing note, I'd like to end today by making a little alteration to the quote that I started this speech off with, courtesy of comedian W.C. Fields. His quote goes as follows: "If at first you don't succeed, try again. Then quit. There's no point in being a damn fool about it." Thank you.